when somebody says clean up your act, they're not asking you to go into the shower and clean, though cleanliness is a good thing. But what we're talking about is, how do we scrub the machine? How do we liberate ourselves from the tyranny of this machine that will just have its appetites, have its addictions, have what it wants, needs things, needs possession, needs passions to animate something, which only leads to dissipation and degradation and degeneration, and not begin to realize that this modulation becomes not something I need other people to do. Get out of my way if you're driving, but how I can get out of my way and begin to sort of slow those reactive parts down and begin to instill something that has more intention to it. And I think that the key part here is intention. Like, what do I want? Not just, I want an ice cream cone, I want $1 million. I want, what is it that I want? What am I supposed to be doing? Who is doing it? How is it being done? What is the intention behind it? I find a conversation like this, my friend, I find being in the editing room where we're working without stopping for hours and hours and hours, sometimes fussing over a single sentence, as you've watched us do, or sometimes, going over a page or whatever it might be, sometimes waiting hours for the light to change out at a place. Some of the most thrilling and rewarding moments, and there's nothing outwardly thrilling about it. It's not walking the red carpet at the Oscars. It's not, winning the jackpot. It's not somebody, I guess going viral today for whatever little thing you did on TikTok. It has a much more serious reward, and it has much more serious consequences in a very, very good way. And so cleaning up your act is, a pretty good advice. And we're always, it's a job that's never done. It's Sisyphean, but it's also worth it.
Cleaning up your act, and as you just said, cleaning up your thoughts.
Yeah.
And my mom told me when I was a kid, you're not responsible for your thoughts, only for your actions, which was very liberating for a teenager, of course. I was glad to get the advice. But I've come to think that she ultimately, as an adult, that's not right. You are responsible for your thoughts. They resonate out. They have karmic effects. And we have a responsibility to moderate. We're not responsible for our initial thoughts or impulses, but we have to moderate or modulate them so we can be mindful and intentional. And that's why all of the virtue wisdom comes down to the marshmallow test of those kids.
Yes.
They were given a choice, 1 marshmallow when they're 5 years old if they want it immediately, 2 if they can wait for 15 minutes. The kids who could wait did better later in life, and that's what virtue is.
This is what it is. We modulate that stuff, and you cannot. All of this must sound, to some people, impatient that there is some sort of perfection, that we're two monks living apart, not engaged in life, not laughing, not enjoying things. These thoughts come up. It's what you do with them. It's not that they're there. It's how you treat them, and that's what it is. My daughter is applying to go away to school. And we don't know what she's going to get into, right? And now we have a whiteboard that changes every day. We're down to 25 days today, and it's been started in the 40s. And every morning she erases this little portable whiteboard. But last night she came into my bedroom after everybody had gone to sleep, and she said, I can't sleep. And she said, what if I don't like it? The place she wants to go to. And I said, probably you won't. There'll be some aspects of it that you won't. But just like right now, there are aspects of the school that you're in right now that you both like and don't like. You will find a way to do it, and you will look back. It'll still be your choice. But now you're thinking in the right way. She allowed this thought to come in, not just, I am 100% have to go there, and it's I can't stand waiting to hear. She asked the more important question, well, what if I don't like it? And I said, that will be part of it too. And then there will be many more aspects of your life. And she just, went back to sleep. And that was, it was just saying, that thought's okay. That's okay. What if I don't want to do this? Well, that's okay too. We surrender our mastery. We willingly surrender our mastery all the time in all sorts of situations, when with a little bit of foresight, that's an important word, you can assert it, not against other or over other or under other, but you just have that ability to sort of negotiate something that short circuits or bypasses the appetites, the addictions, the bad stuff.
We have the ability, as my dad always said, quoting Paracelsus, the 16th century mystic, as we imagine ourselves to be, so shall we be, and we are what we imagine.
That's right. That's what think good thoughts. That's what that is. Think good thoughts. Visualize your dream. Whatever, it may not happen, but it's much better to be acting that way. Much better to be acting that way.
But it raises the bar very high. And let's talk about John Quincy Adams.
Yes.
For me, he's maybe the most self-consciously virtuous of all.
I agree.
And we know the story, and he, after constantly beating himself up for not being perfect enough, for being dissipated, for drinking too much, for if only I had more self-discipline, I could have ended war and slavery, he says, setting an incredibly high bar for himself. He then, after dark nights of the soul, which include losing a presidential election and his oldest son committing suicide because he can't take the pressure of his dad constantly exhorting him to be perfect, Adams then converts himself into the greatest abolitionist of his age. And for me, he shows both the potential and the costs of the effort to be perfect.
There's an example of a President John Tyler who came back into Congress, but nobody came back the way John Quincy Adams, that after he served his presidency, he would come back and serve the country again in a way in which everybody rides off into the sunset. And his idea of service and his idea of understanding the way in which this overweening self-criticism and the overweening expectations that he felt had come from father, from the revolution, from all of that stuff, that he could then, in a kind of spiritual judo, use the weight of that stuff to transform it into something that was positive. And I think that's a really important stuff. You will not be without the inevitable vicissitudes, but how you relate to them, what you do with them, how you try to transform them is the better thing, This will pass. Get help from others. Be kind to yourself.
Spiritual judo, what a great phrase. That says it all.
You just have to use the weight. These are very powerful things. And to use the weight of them to your advantage is the easier thing than to actually fight, because, sometimes they outweigh you.